The following are true scary stories found on the subreddit Let's Not Meet. I'll have a link in the description for each of the stories if you'd like to read along with me. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all of my future content. Let's begin. About 4 years ago, I got a lifeguarding job at my local pool. Most of the staff were pretty friendly, and for the first few days I was mostly shown around the facility and given pointers about dealing with the public. They told me that there were some peculiar pool regulars, like one old lady who wore ridiculous bikinis despite being well over 300 pounds, and a dad who would always hit on the female guards. Despite there being some strange people who came by, they said the only one that I had to worry about was Creepy Jean Shorts Guy. Anytime Creepy Jean Shorts Guy was mentioned on deck or in the staff room, people would go very quiet. Clearly, whoever this guy was, he made a lot of people uncomfortable. According to my boss at the time, he was an old man that came in every few days during a public swim, and opted to wear jean short shorts around the facility. He mostly just sat around the pool, people watching, taking it easy, but on occasion was caught staring and taking photos of some of the kids in their bathing suits. This obviously made a lot of parents uncomfortable, and it resulted in a lot of complaints against him. Our pool administrators told him it was against our rules to take full-body photos of children. Shoulder up was apparently okay, and if he continued doing it to kids, he would get banned from the premises. A few weeks after they put a stop to his photography, Creepy Jean Shorts Guy returned and spent his time in the water instead. It became routine for him to come in during public swims, make his way to the deeper part of the pool, and sit at the bottom, only re-emerging for air. For weeks, he came in just to sit at the bottom of the pool for hours on end, which still weirded people out, but he technically wasn't breaking any rules. He was passed off as an old man who was either practicing breath control or just enjoying the water. To be fair, it can be pretty peaceful down there. It wasn't until a mother came in to complain that anyone questioned his motives. She dragged her son into our staff room and demanded to talk to the manager about the man staring at her boy. After she calmed down a bit, she said that she noticed an old man sitting at the bottom of the pool, staring up at all the children swimming above him. It had made her and her son feel uncomfortable, and she told us that she wouldn't let her son swim again until the old man was gone. When she left, everyone in the staff room looked at each other, knowing exactly what man she was talking about. Our boss, who by this point had had enough of Creepy Jean Shorts Guy, opted to call the police instead of just kicking him out of the pool again. During my next shift, I made sure to scan the pool for Creepy Jean Shorts Guy to see if he had the guts to try and come back after everything that had happened. Thankfully, I didn't see him. Part of me even felt a little guilty. Maybe he didn't mean any harm. Maybe he was just a little strange or mentally ill. My guilt was short-lived. When my break came around, I made my way into the staff room and saw everyone in there was in an uproar. I asked another guard, a girl I came to be good friends with, what the fuss was about.
You won't believe this. Remember Creepy Jean Shorts Guy? The police found child pornography on his computer.
I couldn't say I was surprised, but it was still shocking. Apparently, after removing him from the premises and taking into account all of the times he'd stared or taken photos of the children, the police got a search warrant and found some questionable photos and videos in his possession. On top of that, he still had all of the photos he'd taken of the kids at our pool, which turned out to be in the hundreds. And he had confessed to the police that he liked to sit at the bottom to get a good view of the kids swimming above him. To this day, it was still one of the creepiest things I've ever experienced. I'm not sure if he ever faced jail time, but he certainly never came back to the pool. Creepy Jean Shorts Guy, let's not meet. A few months ago, my boyfriend and I moved out of our one-bedroom apartment into a two-bedroom about 20 minutes away. As official adults, we decided to splurge and get movers to help us out. The day of, the movers arrived right on time and began working. There were two of them, both in their mid-20s and both very nice. My boyfriend and I were both at our old place, but I got ready and headed over to the new apartment so that someone would be on the receiving end when the guys got there. I gave them my cell phone number so that they could call me when they got close, and I would be outside waiting for them. Everything went great, and there was no cause for concern. The next morning when we woke up in our new place, I noticed I had 2 missed calls at around 2 a.m. from an unknown number. I figured it was just telemarketers or something, as it was a weird time to be getting phone calls. I ignored it. 2 days later, I was woken up at around 3 a.m. by the noise of my cell phone vibrating. I groggily picked it up and noticed it was an unknown caller, and heard nothing but white noise in the background when I said hello. I hung up and went back to bed. My phone rang again about 2 minutes later. I answered, more annoyed this time, and was met with mumbled talk. I responded,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What?
And this time a man answered, You look like you got that good pussy. Let me come over and see you. I know where you live. I freaked out immediately and hung up the phone. My boyfriend woke up and asked me what was wrong, just as my phone rang again. I answered it with,
Who is this?
And he repeated his previous statement. I told him I was going to call the police if he didn't leave me alone and hung up the phone. It rang again almost immediately, and this time, my very angry boyfriend answered. It was silent on the other end, and whoever it was hung up the phone, and they haven't called back. I don't know for sure if it was one of the movers, but the voice sounded very familiar, and the timing was incredibly coincidental if it wasn't one of them. I didn't call the company and report anyone, because I didn't want to ruin a guy's life if it wasn't him. I just felt so violated and creeped out. It was so unnecessary. My boyfriend and I ended up moving again a couple of months later due to work. We used an entirely different moving company and had no creepy experiences. So, creepy guy on the phone? No, you can't come over and see me. Let's not ever meet. I was 13 years old when this happened to me. Around that time, my mom began leaving me at home alone a few nights a week for a couple of hours at a time so that she could teach an agility class. That particular night, she left for her class at around 7:30, and soon after, it started pouring rain. This didn't really bother me, as I've always found the rain to be a peaceful sound. I came downstairs out of my room to watch some television. Now, the television in our living room sits in front of 2 windows which look out over the front yard. Our front yard is partially covered by a small forest that separates our house and the neighbor's house. The center of our yard slopes down and then back up again, so when it rains, it creates a river flowing across the yard about half a foot deep. Since it was pouring rain, the yard flooded fairly quickly. While I was watching television, the power was knocked out due to the storm. I didn't have much else to do besides sit in the dark and wait for it to come back on. Just then, lightning flashed, and I noticed movement between the trees in my front yard. Who the hell would be outside in rain like this? I decided to peek out my window. I couldn't see very well because it was so dark out, and because we have screens on our windows. But I thought I could make out a figure standing between the trees in the front of my house. The lightning flashed again, and that removed all doubt. There was definitely someone there. My heart started beating so fast, as this person was standing only about 20 feet from my front door in the pouring rain, staring at my house. The figure stepped out from the forest and directly into the river flowing through my yard. Then they placed their hands into the pockets of their hoodie. I couldn't see their face at all, as they had their hood pulled down. I backed away from the window, scared. I felt like I shouldn't be scared, because I know it's quite hard to see into my house from the outside, but somehow I felt like they knew I was there. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled the curtain aside and peeked out. At that moment, the person pulled one hand out of their pocket and raised it in a waving motion, and then placed it back in their pocket. I flipped out. I ran to find my crappy little Nokia phone to call my mom. I dialed desperately, and she didn't answer. Voicemail. I looked at the time and saw her class had only about 5 minutes left. I kept dialing and redialing, praying that she'd answer. She didn't pick up. I kept peeking out of the window every few seconds, until I realized that they had moved a few steps closer. At that second, the power came back on, and the lights on the porch flickered on as well. As this happened, the person hesitated for a second, before turning around and bolting in the opposite direction. About 15 minutes later, my mom arrived back home. When I heard the back door open, I raced to the kitchen and hugged her and started crying, asking her why she hadn't picked up her phone. She told me that her phone had died on the way to class. I told her what happened, and although she tried not to show it, I know she was legitimately freaked out. She told me to go to bed and that she would take care of it. I didn't sleep that night, or several nights after. She never did tell me what she did to take care of it. I stopped asking after a while, but whoever they were, they haven't been back. Person watching my house in the pouring rain, let's not meet. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all of my future content. I hope you all have a great weekend and be safe, and I will see you Monday for some more true scary stories. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.